Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about things that I wish I knew before I worked at Cedar Point. So let's get started. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I was a ride operator at Cedar Point in 2015, 2016, and briefly in 2017. And before I got into any of that, when I had very first applied for the job, I had no idea what to expect. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and I really couldn't find any reliable resources online. So that's why I wanted to make this video, just to kind of help out anyone who might be curious about what it's like, or to help out someone who possibly is thinking about working there and they want to know what to expect before they get into it. So let's get started. Okay, so when I had my interview for Cedar Point and I got offered the job, the only thing I was told was that I was going to be a ride operator at Millennium Force, and I wasn't really told any other details. So I really didn't know exactly what I was getting myself into. I did a ton of research online, and I just found like really generic, basic reviews. Pretty much people said like, you're gonna work long hours, or you're gonna stand outside in the sun. But I knew that, I wanted to know more specific details because I was going into it completely blind. I lived in the dorm rooms there. That was my first time ever living away from home. I never lived in a college dorm. I grew up as an only child. I never had to share a room with anybody else. So I went into it completely blind, and it would have been helpful if I had some idea of what to expect. So I would say, the very first thing I'm going to start off with is the dorms, and I will try to insert a picture if I can find one. I think I do have a picture somewhere. I couldn't find a picture of the whole entire dorm room, but I found this selfie. You can kind of get an idea of what they look like, and this was the 1600 dorms. But I had no idea what the dorms looked like before I worked there. I wasn't sure how much space I was going to have. I wasn't sure exactly what I should pack. I knew that I was gonna have to bring, obviously, like my own sheets and blankets, my own like bath towels, all of that. I knew that, but I didn't really know exactly anything more specific than that. So what I wish I knew going in was that you don't have a lot of storage space and you're not gonna have a lot of time to spend in the room anyway. So, definitely leave your valuables at home, definitely leave all the extra stuff at home. The majority of the time was spent at work, working. So, I really didn't even need a ton of clothes because I never wore them. I was always in my work uniform. Even after work, like when me and my coworkers would go out to eat or whatever, the majority of the time we just wore our uniform because we were hungry. We didn't really want to take the time to go back to the room and take a shower, change your clothes, fix your hair. Like, there was no time for that. So usually you would come home and just put on your pajamas and go straight to sleep. That was pretty much it. So yeah, I wish I had known what they looked like ahead of time, and I wish I had known exactly how much storage space I was gonna have and exactly what I should bring. I also wish I had known that the mattresses were going to be so uncomfortable. They're basically just like a plastic mattress. And again, I've never lived in a college dorm, but I imagine it's probably the same mattress that they give you in a college dorm. I have no idea, but it's plastic, obviously, for, sanitary reasons, cleanliness reasons, which I understand. But, it would have been helpful ahead of time to know that I should have brought a mattress pad or some type of like a cushion to put underneath my sheet just to make it a little bit more softer, because those plastic mattresses, they get so hot and it gets so irritating. Even having just a thin sheet over it is not enough. So I wish I had known that going in. That would have made a lot of nights of sleep a lot easier. Okay, so I also wish that I had known to bring different things from the house that I did not even think about. And what I mean by that was I ended up getting really, really sick my first year. I had bronchitis. I also had a sinus infection, and then I got a throat infection. So I was totally unprepared. I did not have any medicine. I did not have any Kleenex. I didn't have anything. So I wish I had thought to pack some of that stuff, just, basic necessities like that, because that would have really helped. It's miserable when you're sick and, you're already just not in a great place right then. But, then it's like you have to go drive to the store and go buy stuff. That's just miserable. No one should have to go through that. So I wish I had known to bring stuff like that. And also stuff like Q-tips, Band-Aids, little things like that. I was totally unprepared. I did not bring any of that kind of stuff, and I wish I had. Stuff like nail polish remover. You know, again, you don't have a ton of space, but even just a few like little things, you know what I mean? Like a handful of Q-tips, you can put those in like a Ziploc baggie, like stuff like that. I definitely should have brought and been more prepared, you know, with that kind of stuff. I also wish that I had known to be more prepared overall when I'm at work. So I quickly found out once I started working that you really have to have a good watch, a good pen, and also, you know, like a hair tie, you know, little things like that make your day so much easier. Those were things that I did not know about, and I was totally unprepared. I didn't have a pair of sunglasses. And, you know, those aren't things that are necessary for the job by any means. You don't have to have them, but it makes the day a lot easier. It makes your job a little easier, because there are a lot of times when you need to have a pen, and I didn't realize that. I didn't know that going in. So I wish I had known that. You know, having a good watch really, really helps too, because there's a lot of times when you need to know what time it is. And it gets kind of annoying having to constantly ask your coworkers, you know, hey, what time is it? And you're like shouting across the platform. And yeah, so having a good watch, having a good pen, sunglasses, an extra hair tie, little things like that. Also, in your backpack, I highly recommend having an extra pair of socks, because when it rains, your feet will get wet, and it is miserable walking around all day with wet feet. And I wish I had been more prepared, like right off the bat, with that. So another thing that I wish I knew ahead of time was the Sandusky weather. I had no idea what I was getting into with the weather in Sandusky. I knew that it was going to be different because it's right on the lake. I didn't know how different. My like first 2 weeks of work, it was literally like 47 degrees in 2015. And I had packed everything but the stuff that would have helped me in that situation. So I had packed a ton of summer clothes and a ton of sandals, but I did not have any like really good hoodies or long sleeve shirts or like gloves, earmuffs, anything like that. I didn't have any of that stuff at first. So yeah, that made the days a little miserable. And I didn't know at the time to bring extra socks to work, and it would rain and my feet would be soaked and I would be like shivering because I was freezing. And yeah, I wish I had known that ahead of time. You know, just to pack like a long sleeve shirt into my backpack and bring it to work, a pair of socks, maybe a pair of gloves, things like that definitely make all the difference. And I wish I had known that. So another thing that I wish I had known was I wish I had known what the job entailed. I knew I was going to be a ride operator, but I had no idea what that meant. I knew that I was going to be operating the ride, and that was it. I wish I had known, you know, more in depth of exactly what the job, you know, involved. And I'm not saying that like because like, oh, the job was terrible, I wish I knew. Like, I'm not saying it in that way. It just would have been nice to know exactly what was expected of us before I got into it, because, you know, I didn't realize how like, you know, in depth the job actually is. And it's not like an overly difficult job by any means. I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying that, you know, I didn't realize like how many little things, you know, were involved, I guess. So, and again, like I said, it's not like I'm saying it in a bad way, but there was just a lot of things I wasn't prepared for. So that was interesting to kind of learn, you know, as I went along. So yeah, I wish I had known different things like that. And that's going to be different, you know, depending on like what department you work in. Every department is going to be completely different. But I know like being a ride operator, I knew, you know, you have to check children's height. You have to check people's seatbelts. I did not know that we had to talk into the microphone and spiel. Because I hate spieling so much. I dread doing that. So I didn't know ahead of time that was something that we had to do. Keep in mind that before I worked at Cedar Point, I visited amusement parks, obviously, but I never paid attention to details. So I didn't know those things. Like, I never paid attention to what it is that each person does when you're waiting in line. Like, I never knew. So, because people are probably going to see this and they're going to say, like, how could you not know that? But I didn't know that, like, in the event of, like, a mechanical issue that we would have to assist with evacuations. You know, I didn't know those little things like that. So that would have been nice to know going into the job, just so I knew what was expected of me on a day-to-day basis. So another thing that I wish I knew before I started working there was that, and this again is going to depend, this is going to vary person to person, but your coworkers become like your family. My crew that I worked with in 2015, we are literally still so close. We talk every single day. You know, they are literally my best friends, and you know, I wish I had known that going in, because I definitely would have taken advantage of that at the time. I would have taken a lot more photos. I would have, like, you know, cherished all of those moments, because at the time I didn't really realize it. It just kind of seemed like, oh, we're coworkers. But looking back now, I see that like we were extremely close. We had a lot of fun together, and you know, I wish I kind of would have known that going into it, because I definitely would have made sure that, you know, like I said, I would have taken a lot more photos. I would have spent a lot more time with them, you know, like little things like that, because you know, I didn't really know that that was how it was going to end up playing out. And in 2016, I wasn't super close with the crews, because I went from Millennium to Valraven to Dragster, so I kind of knew everyone on each crew a little bit. I wasn't like super close with any one crew. But even, you know, in 2016, I mean, it was the same thing. The people, you know, that I did become close with, we were really close. So I wish I had kind of realized that in the moment and, you know, taken more advantage of that. So, okay, so one last thing that I wish I knew before working at an amusement park is that the guests will become angry. And this was one that I really did not expect. I mean, obviously, any job where you're dealing with the public, people are going to be mad about different things, and that, you know, that's to be expected. But it is incredible how many people would become angry about things that are so far out of your control, and they take it out on you directly. Now, luckily, since working there, I've gotten pretty thick skin. Doesn't bother me anymore. Since working at Cedar Point, I've had a retail job. I've worked at a few like food places. Nothing offends me anymore because at Cedar Point, I was called every name under the sun by guests. People were brutal, and I did not know that going in, and I wish I had known to expect that, because people would just say anything. You know, if you told them something that they did not want to hear, it was like they just immediately took it out on you, and it was awful. So yeah, I wish I had known that, and I don't understand why, because I'm like, you know, you're here, you're at this beautiful park, you're here with your family, you paid a lot of money to be here, you know, just experience it, like try to have a good time. But people would, anything, I mean, every little thing, they just want to take it right out on you. So yeah, that was something I was not prepared for, because I expected people to be like extremely happy to be there and like just, you know, ready to make memories and have fun. And the majority of the guests are like that. I'm not saying that they're all terrible, but there was a few that were like especially bad. And I, you know, wish I could have been prepared for that, because it definitely catches you off guard, you know, when someone just immediately starts screaming and cussing in your face, and you're just like, whoa, what did I do? You know, and you're not really in a position where you can defend yourself, because, you know, you're at work, you still have to be professional. So when people kind of totally lose it, you're in panic mode, like you don't want to say anything to make the situation worse, you know, but at that moment you kind of know that nothing you say will make it better. So it's kind of like, you know, trying to decode, you know, exactly what to say and without making things worse. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I do plan on doing some more videos about what it's like working at an amusement park, because I do have a lot of stuff to share with you guys. So if there's anything like specific or in particular that you guys would like to hear me talk about, let me know down in the comments. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Bye guys.